Okay, welcome back. This is the second video. Now we're going to look at menu choice A, loading a list from the keyboard. So we're going to go into the main. And we basically are going to remind ourselves what we're trying to do. So in the perform choice, we're going to say case A is going to say load list from the keyboard. Now the LIFO means you want to load them in such a way that the last thing that you add to the list is the first thing that you get from the list, which means that every time you add a new one, you add it where? At the end of the list or at the beginning of the list? At the beginning. So it sounds like we need a component add as first. So where are these components? Let's go and begin to locate our components. Now what I've done is I've created a directory called components just so I can work around in there because I have to play around a little bit. So if you go back to the assignment, the original assignment, it would have told you what the components were. So we know we're looking for something called InsertAsFirst. So let's just do a status, software component library status of InsertAsFirst. See what we come up with. So notice that this is LL InsertAsFirst. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. This is kind of funny, isn't it? Notice that we have a bunch of components, but we don't have test programs for them all. And I don't know how you can adopt a component without testing it first. So why don't we test the ones that we have? So let's try to test. Let's see. SC help tells you what you can do. I can see what they are. I can view it, and that just shows you the spec, so we know what that is. We can test it, that we can actually execute the test program, look at the results, and make a judgment. Once we pick one, we can adopt it, and once we adopt it, what will happen is a .h file and a .o file will be placed into your directory. So let's try to test these. All right. So let's go back and see what we have here. So let's do the last one first. So we're going to say sc test. If you just do that, it'll tell you what you've got to do. You got to give the name of the component, insert as first, followed by the component ID 35647. And let's see what we get. We're running the test program, and what comes out? Well, all I know is that I'm calling, here's the spec. When I run the test program, all that seems to happen is nothing. So, I'm not sure about 35647. You see that? So let's go back and see what I got again. So let's try this one. Let's do SC test again. This ID. See what we get. Now, what is this? I'm doing it. I have nothing in the list before I have a value added. So I've gone from 0 to 1. That looks good. I have one element. I've added another one. It goes first. I have two elements. I add. So it looks like this looks more like it works than the other. So what do we want to do? Well, it looks like we may be at a point of adopting this. So we're just going to adopt it. So let's try when you adopt, you have to give it the same arguments that you gave it when you said test. So let's just go back to test and just say adopt. All right. See what we have in here. We have the .h file for it. We have the .o file for it. Now what does this mean to our main program? What it really means is that we must go back to the main program now. And we need to put these two files in the directory where we were working. So let's just copy these back into that directory. Here's the directory we were programming in. Let's get out and see. Let's see if those files are there first. And we have the files there. Now we've got to make sure that our main program includes this, or you can't really use it. So let's go back into the main program, and we've got to start including things. Bound to include that. So at this, I can make a call to add first. Okay. All right. Getting the hang of this. Now the next thing we got to do is go back to the assignment. And what does it say about loading from the keyboard? You've got a prompt for the number of values, and you got to store each new value at the beginning of the list. So this sounds like, who does this? Where is this done? Is this done in the main? Is it done in the menu? Is it done in PerformChoice? It's done in PerformChoice. So what do we have to do? We say, aha, we got a prompt. Please issue all the prompts starting with a new line. Enter number of values to add, okay, to insert. Oh, we need a variable, don't we? So we're going to say int n. We also need val. Okay, value. So we gotta say and then it says you've got to go and load each of these values. Since we know how many, we know what to do. What do we have to do? We have to read a value and insert it. Go back to the assignment because it gives you the rules now. It says you need to prompt for each value. So we're going to say enter value. And we're going to read the value. And now we're ready to make the call. Now let's get back over here and see what's going on. Let's see the .h file to make sure we have this right. When we make the call, we're going to pass the list followed by the new value. So we're going to make the call ll insert as first. The list we're being passed, we call it list. And the value that we read is this. And this should complete menu choice A. All right? Now the second menu choice is the one that's really important, isn't it? Because we need to turn around and see if what we read is really going to work. So I'll make a note what we need to do. All right? So we have a case not B but C. We know what we're going to do there. And we're going to fill that in maybe later, okay? So let's quickly get out and compile. See if it's going to compile. Oh, let me tell you what happened here. Here, we just need to compile only. We're not trying to run it. We're just trying to make sure it compiles. Put a -C. We're just trying to make sure that we're making the call right. No such. Uh, 15 and 62. 15. What's going on here? Oh, notice I have an extra space in here. That's what that is. Alright. Alright? Now watch this. If I want to execute this, I must compile it now with the .o file for the function. So I've got to say ll insert as first.o. Okay. The -C simply says, are you making the correct call? And this is that. So now we can try A. I want two values. I'm going to put 4 and 4. I don't know what happened to my prompt. Okay. And I'm no longer asking for an input, so I must have completed that. We don't know what's in the list yet because we haven't implemented option C, but let's exit. Alright. The final thing we got to do is clean up the menu. Value. Sorry. I forgot my keep striking is very loud, I'm told. Enter. Oh. Skip a line, then do the prompt. That's what I didn't do. Alright. So with that, we're going to stop. And I hope you see where we're going with this. Don't try to do everything at one time. Pick one function, decide what, pick one menu choice at a time, then decide what functions are needed. You must go and select your function. You got to go through the available components and pick the components that work for you and go from there. With that, I'm going to